Sun wasn't a problem today for those scoring at home. No issue whatsoever. Kind of miss it. Hell, man. Good morning. It is Glenn Clark Radio. That would mean that I am Glenn Clark. He is Griffin Bass, and we are here.
I was thinking about that yesterday because we had just lost the Sun for about a full week.
Yeah, it would have been.
And then you were already sick of it.
Yeah, that's accurate. I was. It's just. You know what, man? I don't need to explain. I don't feel the need to explain my art to you, Warren. A lot to do. Busy Thursday edition of Glenn Clark Radio. There's no way you understand the reference.
I did.
Not a chance in the world.
Do you want to explain it?
Empire Records, one of the great films of all time. I get it, man. It came out when I was young. So it's basically a ancient. I'd watch it at some point if I were you. It's outstanding.
All right.
This is a straight shoot. I was dating a girl at one point. Who was a couple years younger, but only like 3 years younger than I was. And we were out at this very nice event. In fact, it was Maritime Magic, which is a lovely event that Living Classrooms puts on, I think, still every year. I'm not sure. It's been a while since I've gone. Haven't got that invite. I don't know what happened. What the hell happened over there? I thought we were cool. But I was there with this girl and some of our friends, and some of my friends, I guess. And I made an Empire Records reference. She didn't get it. And I looked at her and I said, look, I know we're at the swanky party, but this is so important to me that I am in favor of leaving this party right now and going back and watching Empire Records. And my friends were also in favor of that because, again, this might be why I don't get the invite anymore. The swanky party scene is not really my scene. Like, it's just not. It never has been. I would go because, you know, you were supposed to go to these events and be supportive and all that, but it's just not my scene. So an excuse to leave a swanky party was always the very top of my list of things that I would want to do. And so we did. We gone. We left. We left said swanky party. And I was very happy about that decision. And she enjoyed Empire Records because Empire Records is perfection. Oh, my God. I've got so many Empire Records stories. Oh, this is a really – it's all coming flooding in. I actually, as a date night with one girl, we had an Ethan Embry movie night. And this, again, is going to mean nothing to you because that's not an actor that you would care about in any way.
It is
not.
not.
But Ethan Embry was in, like, every movie I ever loved, including Can't Hardly Wait, which is another perfect film. Get Ethan Embry on this show. All right?
All right.
Don't be like he's also in That Thing You Do, which is also another perfect film that starred Baltimore's own Jonathan Sheck as well as Tom Hanks.
I feel like I've been on the wrong planet. Like, I don't recognize any of these movies that he's in.
Oh, my God, I hate you. I'm sorry. Look, man, I hate you, and I don't think you can work here any longer.
All right.
I might do with you what I did with the girl that I was dating when I was in college.
I do know Sweet Home Alabama.
Oh, God! God! I want to die. That's the Ethan Embry film that you know.
Yeah.
Oh, God. All right, I'm going to assign you homework. All right? I don't assign a lot of homework. I don't. And I get it. Like, I understand there's an age difference when it comes to films. But I need you to trust me on this because when Papa Cass was interning for us, I demanded. I told her she wasn't allowed back in unless she watched There's Something About Mary. And she came back in the next week, and she was like, God, that movie's great. I'm like, I know it is. I need you to commit to watching a couple of these films. All right?
All right, sure.
I need you. And you don't have to do it all at once because I get it. That's a lot to ask. But like between now and next week, there are 3 films from the Ethan Embry collection. Empire Records would be at the top of my list. Okay. All right? Can't Hardly Wait would be next. In fact, those two interchangeable. They're both perfect.
Oh, cool. It's on Hulu. Empire Records is.
I also believe that you should watch That Thing You Do. Now, That Thing You Do is kind of a cult classic more than it's a classic, but it's still a cult classic.
Oh, Tom Hanks is in?
What's that?
Tom Hanks is in The Thing You Do?
Yes.
That's cool.
Yeah. Yeah. I hate everything. I just hate everything. Not as much as I hate the fact that I'm trying to get Blink-182 tickets and how much you think they cost?
$300.
Oh yeah. And not even on the floor. Like
They are $300.
oh, they're $250 plus fees, so
okay.
I guarantee they're $300.
Nice.
I'm looking. Hang on, how much do you think floor seats are for Blink-182? They're currently available. This is
$700.
$525 if you want to sit
okay.
in section 1. Hang on, in section $450 in row P.
So the very top.
Yeah, man, this is we got something going.
Where are they going to be at?
The arena,
okay.
the new and improved Baltimore Arena. Yeah, this is a really worthless pre-sale, so I got that going for me, which is cool. That's cool. Anyway, so that won't be happening. Gonna need somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody. If anybody in my world can help me out. I think the public on sale is on Monday. Of course, tickets are $250. Why wouldn't they be? Why wouldn't they be? That's the world. And you know what's going to happen is right before. So my wife will think nothing of it. And then, like, literally the week before, she'll hear somebody talking about the Blink-182 concert, and she'll be like, are we going to that? Anyway, I'm sorry. Let's get focused. Hi, Glenn Clark Radio. Glenn and Griffin, we're here today. Did I say what was coming up on the program? Charles
you
Davis.
did not. Yeah.
Are you going to watch one of these movies?
Sure.
Which one?
I'll do Empire Records.
All right, thank you.
This weekend.
Very much. I appreciate that. We'll talk about it later. All right. I feel better about myself. Today's show is brought to you by the Maryland 5-Star, which is scheduled to get underway today. I don't know what the rain policy is. I can't lie. I have no idea what the weather policy is. I don't know if you can do horse figure skating in the rain. It's just not something that I'm very familiar. It might be that you can. You'd play soccer in weather like this. You play lacrosse in weather like this. You'd play football in weather like this. I don't know if you can do horse figure skating in weather like this, but it is scheduled to get underway today. Hopefully the weather will clear up. What's the story for the rest of the weekend, by the way?
I think it's supposed to be clear the rest of the weekend.
That's what I thought,
yeah.
right? Like
this,
it's just
this
today.
day, yeah, I'm not sure where all this came from, but
Well, I mean, wait, is this like a question about like where babies come from? Like,
well,
do you not understand
I mean,
how
like,
science
well,
works?
like the other week we knew like there was a hurricane coming.
Well, okay,
so,
the
so
remnants of a hurricane.
Yes,
were
yeah.
coming, yes. You can see Olympic athletes in action this weekend as the nation's best horses and riders are competing in one of the world's premier equestrian events. It's the Mars Maryland 5-Star at Fair Hill, presented by Brown Advisory, October 13th through 16th up in Cecil County. Again, getting underway today. Maryland 5-Star with the number 5, Maryland5star.us. Coming up in just a bit. We're going to talk about the trade deadline, talk about what the Ravens may or may not do. Cody Benjamin writes for CBSSports.com, and he thinks the Ravens should be a bit aggressive at the deadline. Also later on in this hour, but by the way, you guys don't agree. You guys mostly think that the Ravens should hold on to their pick, although I did present it a very specific way where they're going to give up a lot of their picks, so I guess I take that back. In Would You Rather Wednesday, most of the responses were no, hold the picks, but that was a very unique circumstance. Also overwhelming. Everybody wanted Brandon Hyde to stick around yesterday. Everybody. Now I don't know if that's a bird in hand versus
because we're a pro Brandon Hyde show. So
look, man. I'm not an anti Brandon Hyde guy at all, but it is weird. Like I just think the limbo part of this is weird. Like I brought it up with Nathan Ruiz yesterday. I'm like, are you gonna give him a long-term extension, or just sort of leave him dangling in the wind still? Like it is a weird situation to be in. But appreciate all of you who participated in Would You Rather Wednesday. Also coming up this morning, Tank Williams, former NFL safety. He's also with the 33rd team. He did the postgame show with Trey Wingo from the Ravens game, so we'll get his thoughts on what he saw from the Ravens. And the great Charles Davis will be with us. He is on the call alongside our friends Ian Eagle and Evan Washburn for the Giants game on Sunday. They, of course, did the Bills game, so they're on watch. I said that once. I don't remember who it was. I said that once about somebody when I didn't like something that they said. We were doing the morning show back in the day. God, I can't believe I'm saying this. I wish Forrester was here to see if he could remember. But it was one of those mornings where I was barely awake, where I'd probably been up until 3 drinking, and then I was doing the morning show at 6. And I brought somebody up, and I just said, hey, look, you're on watch. And Drew was like, the hell does that mean? I'm like, I'm not entirely sure, but I know you're on watch. And so we would make jokes about that. Whenever I didn't like something, I'd be like, hey, Felix PA, you're on watch. And it never really meant anything, but we just kept rolling with it. And that's how I feel. And these are my friends. I like all 3 of these guys. They're all very good friends of the program. They have been incredibly good to us over the years. But if something goes down this Sunday, they're on watch. Can't have that. can't have that. We'll talk to Charles Davis coming up a little bit later on in the program. Plus, we'll make picks as KZ will join us, as he does every Thursday. Oh, by the way, I had a suggestion that was made to me for a side bet for this week for picks. I don't think I can do it. I'm just being as honest as I possibly can about
Now we
this.
have to do it.
Yeah, I don't think I can. So you saw the thing going around yesterday where some guy on, I don't know, Fox News or something like that was talking about how lunch at Taco Bell cost him $28, and everybody was like, how in the world did you possibly have $28 worth of Taco Bell for lunch? And so somebody said to me that that should be the challenge for the side bet this week, is that the loser has to eat $28 worth of Taco Bell.
That'd be easy.
Yeah, for you. For me,
I would enjoy that.
I would have to know what's the least amount of food that you could get for $28, because there's no way I could eat like 14 $2 burritos. There's just no way I would be physically capable of doing it. If there is any sort of way to get like 3 particular burritos that all cost $8, maybe, I don't know. I just don't, dude. It's been so long since I've been to a Taco Bell. Although if they want to sponsor us again, I am happy to make that change. And Taco Bell's the best. It has been so bloody long since I've been to a Taco Bell. Now, don't get me wrong. I was not saying I'm above it. I used to pound me some cheesy gordita crunches. I don't know if that's still available at the Taco Bell, but I used to pound them. I'm just saying, I don't know how much food it is, but it seems like an awful lot of food, and I don't think I can do it. I don't think I'm physically capable of eating that much food. See, one of the issues with some of the side bets we've done already is that I just look at it, I'm like, that's a lot, man. I don't think I can do it. Like the pepper sandwich, it would have sucked, but at least it was just a sandwich. Like I could have. People kept like when I had to do the peanut butter mayonnaise thing, people were like, "Oh, you're making way too big out of a deal of it," and I'm like, "Yeah, 6 sandwiches, Chief."
Oh my God, you had to do 6 sandwiches.
Correct.
Peanut butter mayonnaise.
Correct. And various accoutrements. Ugh. I still heave a little thinking about it. It was grotesque. I don't remember what I was saying. Oh, yeah, something or other about that being the side bet. I don't think I can do it. I don't think it's a possibility. If someone wants to present to me the least amount of food that could get you to $28 at Taco Bell, we can talk about it, but there's just no way, bro. There's no way that I can eat that much food. It's just, I don't live that way any longer. I'm too old. Like, if I start doing that, I'm going to die.
Bet you could do it.
How? What do you bet? I could do what? You don't know how much it is.
I mean, it'd probably be like, let's see, I don't know, like a couple crunch wraps, a couple burritos,
a
couple tacos.
You stop. That alone
Baja Blast
is about the stretch of where I could go. Like, that alone is about the stretch of how much I could eat. All right. I watched the Padres game last night. I didn't get to watch as much of the Braves-Phillies game, in part because it started so late that I was more interested in the Padres game. Both series now are series, I guess. Like, the road teams both end up taking a game. And so they get to go back home with a chance to finish things out, which is very interesting because these are the 2 favorites in the National League, obviously. I still feel the way that I feel. Like, I still think that ultimately the Dodgers are going to pull the football away and the Padres will again feel like Charlie Brown. It's because that's the way that this tends to go. In fact, in an odd way, it might be more fitting that they get a little bit of hope just before they have the football pulled away from them again. The Phillies, I'm not sure what to make of that, right? The big storyline was they were able to get game 1, and now they've got their 2 aces pitching, right? Like, and then, you forget the Braves have good pitchers too. And Kyle Wright was tremendous, was excellent yesterday. So, it's not really a big storyline for me. I still assume that the Braves and the Dodgers will win those respective series, but at the moment, the lower seeds, the road teams are in good shape as they at least have the opportunity to try to hold serve at home and pull off huge upsets that would completely upend. I mean, could you imagine? I guess the Astros would still just be the favorite at that point, right? Like, I don't see the Mariners getting back into that.
A Phillies Padres NLCS.
Not what anybody on the planet would have expected. No. Not what anyone would have imagined would be possible. But it is in play at the moment. It is in play that it could end up being somehow, some way, a Phillies Padres, which is crazy. Like, it's just nuts that is a possibility. I'm still going to bet against it. I'm still going to assume that the Braves and the Dodgers both end up getting there.
I agree there.
The big story from the Ravens yesterday, of course, was that, look, and it happened during the show, and I didn't really talk about it that much. Tyus Bowser was on the practice field. We've seen Tyus do some various things in his return to football, and we kind of knew that was coming. It opens up a 3-week window now for the Ravens that he's going to be back. Like, at some point in the coming weeks, he's going to be back. I think the more stunning one was David Ojabo. Like, that to me was almost shocking that David Ojabo was back on the practice field this quickly. We are talking about a very serious injury that occurred in the spring.
Yeah, March, I think.
On his pro day. This isn't an injury from last year like Tyus. This is an injury that occurred in the spring. So it's borderline.
It's like
outrageous that he is.
Because Cam Akers came back last year after tearing his Achilles, didn't he?
Yeah, I think that's right. And so you're saying, again, and it's one of the things that was brought up with David Ojabo is that perhaps we have to reconsider everything about the time frame for a return from an injury like this.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Cam Akers didn't seem.
Yeah, he wasn't explosive or
correct.
Blow you away, but I mean.
And it's a little bit different because they were making a run to a Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that they were in position to say, hey, we need – if you're not really ready but you're something in some semblance of ready, we'll put you back out on the field. For David Ojabo, I would think the Ravens would take as much time as necessary for a player who has no NFL experience. For as much as we keep talking about how much the Ravens need help in their pass rush department – this is a player that has no experience, that had no preseason, that had none of that type of stuff. I don't think that they would rush in any way to get that player back to the field. They knew what they were doing when they took David Ojabo. They understood that David Ojabo was not going to be ready for the start of the season. It was possible he wasn't going to be ready for some time. They decided the talent was so worth it they were going to take him anyway. I don't think there's any world where they would rush him back or take a partial player in a return when it comes to a David Ojabo because I don't see how that's worth it. I think as much as we would like to see the Ravens' pass rush situation improve, and again, hopefully Justin Houston gets back, Jason Pierre-Paul has been as good, if not better, than I think any of us could have expected him to be in the early going. As much as they'd like to see that situation improve, I think the David Ojabo story is still far more long-term than it is immediate. I think the decision that they made had to have far less to do with this season than it had to do with the seasons that follow. And so I can't fathom them just rushing him back and saying, hey, if you can be any semblance of what you were, we'll put you out there. Which, in context, would make you believe that they really think the guy's ready or that he will be ready in the next couple of weeks. It floored me to see David Ojabo on the practice field yesterday. It was stunning to me to see. Andrew Stecca points out that, yes, Terrell Suggs once upon a time also returned from a torn Achilles very quickly, but also, again, it's Terrell Suggs. And they were willing... and I say torn Achilles. I'm trying to do the math on that. I guess that was May. I remember I think I've told this story before. I remember I was at the Kentucky Derby, and I had gone out drinking on a Thursday night. And I got a message from someone that was like, dude, you can break the news. Terrell Suggs tore his Achilles. And I was like, I was just too drunk to deal with it. I was too drunk. I was... I had been out at the Kentucky Derby, and I woke up. And also, in fairness, when you get this type of information, you're going to try to source it with somebody else. You're not just going to use one source. Not that this wasn't a person that I trusted, but I wanted to get a second source before I would have gone with it. And I wanted to go to bed at this point. Like, I was too tired. I wanted to go to bed. So I wake up, and my phone is blowing up from the same person who's like, dude, why have you not reported this? What are you doing? Somebody else is going to beat you to it. And I'm like looking at all these texts. I'm like, all right. I got to deal with this. And I go to send a text to somebody else that I know to try to get it confirmed in Terrell's camp. And the moment I do, my first source says, you idiot, Vinny just went with it on 105.7. I'm like, oh, no. It was crushing. It was crushing to me because that was back in the day when I cared about those things. Now today I wouldn't care. But again, also we're talking about Terrell Suggs, right? Like I understand it with veteran players that you accept any amount of whatever they can give you, even if they're not fully ready just yet, you take whatever you can get. With a rookie who you made a decision about knowing the risks, that part of me is stunning. It's stunning that that player would be returning this quickly because I just don't think you would accept 70, 80% and put that player on the field, a player that had no preseason, a player that, you're not sure what you can get from them. You don't know what you can get from this player at 100%. So that part of it is the stunning part to me. Today's show also brought to you by the all-new Ginsu Kamado Grill. Every Ravens home game this season, you can stop by the Game Day Firehouse, located at the Firefighters Union Hall, just west of the stadium, 1202 Ridgely Street, and sample the cooking from the Ginsu Kamado Grill. Stop by, try some food, enter to win your own Ginsu Kamado ceramic grill, and $500 worth of grilling meats. The Ginsu Kamado Grill, the perfect ceramic tailgate or home grill for searing, grilling, baking, and smoking all kinds of food. Get the details. Reserve yours today, ginsugrills.com. Use the code TAILGATE, and you'll get $100 off your order. So we've been talking a lot this week about the Panthers situation and how it might relate to the Ravens because, truthfully, we're kind of interested in some of their players. And if firing Matt Rule is an indicator that maybe there's, a fire sale coming, we wouldn't mind having a DJ Moore around these parts. Joining us now to talk a little bit more about the Ravens and the trade deadline and what maybe they should do. He, of course, covers the NFL for CBSSports.com. He's Cody Benjamin, and he's with us on GCR. Cody, it's Glenn in Baltimore. It's good to chat with you, man. Thank you for taking a minute for us this morning.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate you having me on.
It's great to chat with you, dude. Read your column the other day, and it was interesting to me because we have talked about this a little bit, that have the Ravens failed in this time frame where they've had Lamar Jackson before they had to pay him the big bucks? Because we see what the Eagles have done and how they've kind of gone all in and said, hey, look, we know this is coming, but until it is, let's give ourselves the absolute best opportunity of winning a Super Bowl in the meantime. And I think it's fair to question whether the Ravens have done that in these first 5 years with Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, I mean, that's the one thing that everyone's looking for, I think, from Lamar Jackson, this current setup with the Ravens, ever since the transition to Joe Flacco has been, that big playoff run, which is, I guess, that's what the Bills are after right now too, but they've kind of taken at least one step closer or farther than the Ravens. The Chiefs have obviously done that. I think that's just what everyone wants to see. And now, so many years into the Lamar Jackson era, you just naturally the questions are going to come up. I mean, is this more about Lamar Jackson or is it more about the supporting cast or the setup around him, the philosophy that kind of drives the offense that he's running? And so, yeah, I mean, I think that it's always a tricky thing to try and decide or try and dissect, whether teams have capitalized enough on these rookie contracts at quarterback because, you have to, in some scenarios, we see a team building up the entire roster before adding the quarterback. And sometimes we see them getting the quarterback and then building up around them. In the case of, we've got examples of teams like the Chiefs, when they added Patrick Mahomes, they had already had a playoff team ready to go. The Eagles, had built around Jalen Hurts this year. You look at the opposite end of the spectrum, a team like the Bears have almost decidedly not built around their quarterback in Justin Fields. So there's so many different ways to try and go about it. I think, the Ravens clearly are contenders. It's just a matter of have they done enough to give their young, hopefully ascending quarterback, guys to make plays for him.
It's a fair question, and everybody would point out, hey, they've spent a couple first-round picks on wide receivers, although they ran one out that was a little disappointing. I mean, it was productive, but just not a transcendent player whatsoever in a draft that had a lot of transcendent wide receivers, and they didn't get those guys. They got Hollywood Brown. And then, Rashad Bateman we like. We've seen some things from, but by no means has he become that guy yet. So he's got Mark Andrews, and that's kind of what he has. It's a fair question. It kind of compounds. So, for example, we don't really know if DJ Moore is actually going to be available or not, right? Like, for as many people as want to believe the Panthers are going to go full-on fire sale and rebuild, like, they do have to have something. They presumably want to have a quarterback next year, and if they've got one, they'd probably like to have somebody for him to throw the ball to. So I don't think they're just going to be giving away DJ Moore. I think they would be inclined to say, hey, look, maybe he's available, but you guys got to pay a real price for him. And then this gets into the secondary part of the question for the Ravens, which is, well, now that you're at the 5-year mark, can you afford to be giving away future draft picks to try to acquire players, or do those draft picks become so much more important because presumably you're going to be having to spend a boatload of money on Lamar Jackson here?
Yeah, no, it's a complicated thing, and that's what I think you're seeing with, a team like the Rams, for example. If you're a fan that wants just instant results, you want quick fixes, you want the star talent immediately. That's fun. I mean, and it can work. I mean, we saw the Buccaneers and the Rams, the last two, to win the Super Bowl. They really did. Obviously there's a lot that goes into it, but in some sense, they really did buy their way to a championship. And I know Tom Brady is not any old quarterback, but the way that the Rams and the Bucs operated, just basically throwing away any sense of long-term planning, and they got Lombardi trophies out of it. On the flip side, you see now that, I think the Buccaneers will be fine, but the Rams are in a lot of trouble in terms of, their quarterback is not protected. He doesn't have the weapons he needs to throw to besides Cooper Kupp. In the Ravens case, there's so many moving parts to juggle. Just to jump back to, you mentioned the Ravens investing in wide receiver. Obviously, they have a tight end, that's reliable. That's one of the best in the game. But you need more than that in today's NFL. And I think that, it's probably not enough in today's NFL to say we've tried. I think that what the Eagles did, for example, is they said we tried, and they did with Jalen Reagor, taking him in the first round instead of Justin Jefferson a few years ago. That's been well documented. But they didn't just sit on their hands afterward and say, look, we spent that draft pick on a wide receiver. We tried. We're going to hope that it pans out. No, the very next year, they traded with their own rivals, the Cowboys, to move up to draft another wide receiver in Devontae Smith. The next offseason, they sent their next first-round pick to the Titans to get A.J. Brown, who has proven that he can be a wide receiver, a productive number one wide receiver. So I think it's just, it's a fine line here, but just admitting your mistakes, and not to say that the Ravens have made mistakes, but when you just look at, Rashad Bateman, Demarcus Robinson, the guys that they're putting out there, no offense to those guys, but I just don't think that anyone's really getting scared by those wide receivers.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. And look, Devin Duvernay's looked pretty good, but yes, pretty good is not scared, is not, defensive coordinators losing sleep about what it is that you're going to do against those guys. He's Cody Benjamin from CBSSports.com, and he's with us here on GCR. Cody, again, the timetable becomes interesting, right? Can you do this mid-season? What you allude to with the Buccaneers and the Rams. I talked about this openly, and I just said, hey, look, the Ravens have always said, we're going to do business our way. This is what we're going to do. We're going to try to be competitive all of the time. We're not going to be the all-in team. We're not going to, take risks and put ourselves in potential cap hell down the road. We are going to be the team that's constantly trying to be in position, and if we do, then we might put ourselves in position to win a Super Bowl every now and then, which they've done so far to their credit. But are we seeing a trend that's no longer the way to win in the NFL, that now the way to win is to say, no, the hell with it, risk it all, and try to build the best possible team you can build for now, and then deal with the problems when we have to deal with them?
I think that's always going to get the headlines. I mean, those teams are always going to be the ones that, they get their fan bases riled up, and they probably pull off, more instant success than the teams that are patient. But I don't know that that's becoming the thing to do. I think that there are the best general managers in the NFL. I think, honestly, the Ravens' approach is smart. They just have a little bit of a weakness at this position, and it's not. I don't mean to put it all on the wide receivers or the decisions at wide receiver. I mean, Lamar Jackson, has a role in this too. I mean, he had some wide open receivers in the game against the Bengals that he could have hit. I mean, if he hits on a couple of those, maybe the conversation isn't as drastic. They have justified reasons for investing more in the offensive line because of the way that they rely on Lamar Jackson's legs. And so, I think the Ravens, in terms of a philosophy, I think you'd rather be the team that is a little more patient than the one that's going to sacrifice years down the road. I mean, that's where a guy like DJ Moore, to me, he doesn't break that philosophy, because if you give up, let's say, a first-round pick and more for DJ Moore, I mean, to me, you're swapping out essentially, in the big picture, you're swapping out Marquise Brown and his future contract, for DJ Moore, who to me is a more
Better
complete
player.
receiver anyway.
Yep.
Yeah. So, I mean, to me, this isn't like adding Allen Robinson, who's, almost 30 and slowing down. This is adding a guy who would be there with Lamar Jackson for the long term. So I think you see in the best general managers the ability to be bold when you need to, but to hold back. I look at, again, we're referencing the Eagles here. Howie Roseman has spent the last 2 years basically, stockpiling draft picks from, trades with the Saints and other teams. And then he uses them when the time is right. And so, yeah, I think it's, you want to be patient, just be able to act when you need to.
Cody, what would you be willing to pay for DJ Moore? Like, what if I don't, it's hard for me to get a read. I tried talking to some folks in Charlotte, and, nobody down there thinks the Panthers should be in a rush to give up on DJ Moore. But they all acknowledge, hey, this is what's going on here. I think they'd be willing to listen. What is the appropriate price? Like, what's the price where you say, hey, look, it's a good football player, it's worth paying this, versus, just because you've made mistakes doesn't mean you should go and try to be crazy in poaching a player away?
Yeah. And I think that, it comes with the contract. So he's under contract. He's been paid. That just happened this summer, and so I think that there's a real comparison to be made here with the AJ Brown trade. I think that AJ Brown is more of a difference maker, just by nature of him just being such an imposing physical player, the way he's built, but. I think it starts around there, and that was a 1 and a 3. And I know that it might seem steep, but he's already under contract. He's a young guy. He should be there for a half decade at least. If it pans out, I think that you're obviously giving up a 1 for somebody like that, especially with Carolina in no hurry to move somebody like him. I think Christian McCaffrey is far more likely to be moved than a DJ Moore. I don't know, if you're the Ravens, if you're acting like the Ravens in this scenario, I don't know, are you willing to surrender a 1 and a 3, or maybe a 1 and a 4 that can move up? I think that's the starting point.
I want to raise my hand. Glenn Clark, yes, I am willing to go a 1 and a 3 for DJ Moore. And what do you make on the Carolina side of things? Do you feel like they'd be willing to do, like, that's the price that would be appropriate for them? Or I still come back to, like, I just giving up on a player that, again, you've already signed, that part of it is taken care of, you've already committed to, and knowing, like, you're gonna need a quarterback next year. Like, I get it's easy to say, hey, rip everything down to the studs. Well, this is the NFL. You can't. This is not like baseball. You can't do that. Like, you still have to pay a certain amount of money to your players. That's the way that the salary floor works. Is it worth it for the Panthers to do that for a first and a third?
Yeah, and that's where I think it's probably more like a starting price, because you look at, for example, the A.J. Brown situation. That was a different time and a different place. We can even say, even if we agree A.J. Brown is the better, more difference-making wide receiver, he was traded on draft night. He was unable to reach a contract with Tennessee, so Tennessee wasn't willing to meet his price demands. And on draft night, they had a guy in Treylon Burks who they had already kind of identified as, we're going to make this trade, and it'll be almost like an instant swap. Now Titans fans now probably wish maybe it wasn't the case, but they had already identified a guy they could have and bring in the building and make a replacement for AJ Brown. Whereas Carolina, like you said, they at the end of the day, what they really need to do is hit on quarterback. Whenever they get their new coach, they need to figure that position out. They're not sitting in front of a draft order right now where they can say, we're going to trade DJ Moore and we've got this guy that we want. We are a long way off from that. And so, yeah, I think if you're talking about a guy they just, a couple months ago, the owner signed off on this big lucrative extension for him. Yeah, I think that the starting point is probably a 1 and a 3.
He is Cody Benjamin, CBSSports.com. Cody, what all can we plug for you, sir?
We're always doing quarterback power rankings every week. So that's something that usually gets, a lot of looks. Sometimes people get upset about where the quarterbacks are ranked, but it's a fun exercise each week. CBSSports.com, you can find, basically all of our coverage throughout the week.
At Cody J. Benjamin on Twitter is how you give him a follow. Cody, really appreciate taking the time this morning, man. Thanks so much for doing it. Let's talk again soon, all right?
Yep, thanks so much for having me.
Cody Benjamin, CBSSports.com, joining us here on GCR. Look, man, first and a third. I know that there will be plenty of you that responded yesterday that will say, dude, you just can't. You can't be giving up multiple early round picks if you're about to give Lamar Jackson a boatload of money. You got to hit on those. Well, you're getting a player, but all you're really giving up is the third round pick, right? You're getting the player. You're essentially trading out whatever player you might take in the first round for DJ Moore. So you're giving up a third round pick. Now, I don't know if the Panthers would do that. I still am confused by that. I keep trying to talk to people in Charlotte, and they're like, maybe he's on the market. Maybe they'd be willing to deal him. I can't get a straight answer about it. But if it's a first and a third, your pal Glenn Clark, yes. Now, I get it. Somebody's going to say, aren't you the guy that was willing to pay a high price for Julio Jones? Correct. And I would have been an idiot. I would have been wrong. I acknowledge that completely. Full stop. Acknowledge. I wanted to pay a real price for Julio Jones, and it would have been an insane thing in hindsight for the Ravens to have done. I think we all know why it is that this would be a little bit different than acquiring a Julio Jones that was already moving towards the tail end of his career and oft injured at that point. Today's show also brought to you by the FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland. Same Game Parlay Plus is now available. You can bet same-game parlays that feature both teams involved in a game up to 25 legs in a same-game parlay. It's unbelievable, the exotic options that you could put together. Reserve your spot for any of the games this weekend, as well as Deontay Wilder, Robert Helenius. You can watch the fight for free and bet on it and win money, come out on top on Saturday night. Email events@sportssocialmd.com in order to reserve your spot. Talk some more Ravens. Tank Williams from the 33rd team joins us next. Glenn Clark Radio. Experience the best in Kamado Grilling, a complete outdoor cooking appliance. The Ginsu Kamado Grill allows anyone to sear, grill, bake, and smoke all types of food. Designed for efficiency and function, the Ginsu Kamado Grill upholds the enduring legacy of the iconic Ginsu brand. The Ginsu Kamado Grill is perfect to cook all year round, is great for parties, and ideal for tailgating with your friends. Reserve your Ginsu Kamado Grill today at ginsugrills.com and get $100 off on your pre-order when you use the promo code TAILGATE. That's ginsugrills.com. Reserve yours today.
Stan the Fan here, welcoming back one of my favorite sponsors, the Costas Inn. And everybody around Baltimore knows the Costas Inn is a great place to go and grab crabs, steaks, salads, soups, whatever's on your mind to eat in person. But did you know that the Costas Inn has upped their game? They are now one of the premier takeout places in Baltimore. Give them a call now to order your food, 410-477-1975. That's the Costas Inn, over 4100 North Point Boulevard.
Make the most out of every day in your Toyota RAV4. Available in hybrid or gas-only models. A RAV4 can get you where you want to go in style. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new RAV4s from your local Toyota dealer today.
See Olympic athletes in action as the nation's best horses and riders compete in one of the world's premier equestrian events at the Mars Maryland 5-Star at Fair Hill, presented by Brown Academy, October 13th through 16th in Cecil County. Don't miss the breathtaking excitement of the dynamic cross-country competition or the elegance of dressage and precision of show jumping. There's also great shopping and activities, including a fresh food fest, corgi race, and a beer, wine, and spirits showcase. So come enjoy a beautiful fall day at the Mars Maryland 5-Star at Fair Hill, presented by Brown Advisory, October 13th through 16th. Learn more and buy tickets at maryland5star.us.
The latest edition of Press Box is available now. On the cover, Bo Smolka profiles Ravens tight end Mark Andrews' path to NFL stardom, from his late decision to play the sport full-time through having to overcome type 1 diabetes and more. Also, inside, we introduce you to football players at Maryland, Navy, Towson, and Morgan State. And we give you everything you need to know for betting football this season. Press Box is available for free at over 500 area locations, including 60 Royal Farm stores. And you can always find the entire edition, as well as the best daily coverage of the demos, Ravens, and Terps at PressBoxOnline.com.
The Baltimore County Police Department is hiring. Entry-level officers start at close to $59,000 a year with a $10,000 bonus. Some restrictions apply. Plus a great retirement plan, medical, dental, and vision insurance, advancement to specialized units, tuition reimbursement, 15 sick days earned per calendar year, and even further incentives for military members and veterans. If you have a passion for service and want a career for life, visit joinbaltimorecountypd.com or call 410-887-5542. You must be a United States citizen, possess a valid driver's license, and have a high school diploma or GED equivalent. The Baltimore County Police Department is an equal opportunity employer.
If you can't listen or watch live, you can subscribe to the show via Spotify, Amazon, or Apple Podcasts. Leave a 5-star review while you're there. Or, if lying isn't your thing, we'll take a 3.5-star review too.
This is really frustrating, right? I'm getting a lot of messages. John from Little Rock, I could do the Taco Bell challenge, but I would pay for it the days after. They've raised their prices, so there is that. I just went to the menu. It's still the most expensive thing I see on the menu is $8. That means that, like, I would have to eat at least 3 of these they're double steak stuffed burritos and something more in order to get $28 worth of Taco Bell. I guess the question becomes, do beverages count? Because if beverages count, maybe I could pull this off. Maybe I could. I mean, dude, I don't eat like this, and it would really be a scene. Oh, I don't like this idea. I really don't like this idea. Do you want to do this? You look like the person that wants to do this.
I mean, yeah, sure. So we're doing it?
I don't want to. That's the problem. I have no interest. We were sent another one, by the way.
Okay.
Nick Kelly. Hold on. First of all, couple things.
He gave us the Hoop Fish one.
Yes, Nick Kelly lets me know there was a wrestler named Earthquake. There was both a comedian and a wrestler named Earthquake.
Oh, well done.
So I was correct on all accounts originally.
Good job.
He also shares that he found an old advertisement. A little trick that makes a treat: 7-Up in milk. Mix chilled 7-Up and cold milk in equal parts by pouring the 7-Up gently into the milk. Do not stir. The 7-Up adds a light and delicate flavor, making a delicious blended food drink. Mothers know that this is a wholesome combination. The addition of 7-Up gives milk a new flavor appeal that especially pleases children. There's a little advertisement here for 7-Up in milk. Do you want to try this one?
No, but I mean that seems right up our alley though.
It does seem up our alley. Now,
like what we're looking for.
Now the Taco Bell thing is more timely.
We could do both.
But by the time we get to the Taco Bell thing, it'll be next week, and people will probably not be talking about it any longer. Correct?
I mean, I don't know. It'd be Monday, like.
But we would need to send somebody out for the Taco But we don't have an intern until Tuesday.
Oh.
Mike
well,
is
I mean,
not in on
I could do it, I guess. I mean, like.
But then
that's not
our Taco Bell's.
Yeah, there's one right down.
But
off
like,
Block Raven.
But like, they don't serve. Like, you can't go in there at 9 a.m. and get all this food, can you? You can only get. I think you can only get breakfast at that point because they do the.
We could do $28 worth of the breakfast.
No.
The breakfast box.
No.
That breakfast box is killer.
I thought they were cutting back. I thought they slashed the menu. Isn't that what the Pete Davidson commercials are all about?
Oh, is that what?
Is how they like limited what they have available on
Better
the
not
breakfast
get rid
menu?
of the breakfast box.
Dude,
All right, what's
I
available
really-
at Taco Bell at 9 a.m.?
I really don't want to do the Taco Bell thing. Like, if you think it's good content and you think people would be into it, I do it. And then, maybe I'll just try to not lose. Like, that would be the better play, is to not lose the challenge and have you. I am very nervous about how much food you have to consume. And again, my stomach I have not tasted Taco Bell in, dude, this is a straight shoot.
You're missing out.
Straight shoot. 18 years.
Wow.
18 years.
That's impressive.
When I was 21 and we would go to the bars, and on the way back I would get Taco Bell. I don't think I could do it. I don't. All right, we've got 40 minutes to make our decision before we start the pick segment. I would do the milk and 7-Up thing. And I might be lactose intolerant. I would still prefer doing that just because it's not as much to consume as consuming that much Taco Bell. Ugh, I'm like internally heaving even thinking about it. I need a palate cleanser. Let me think about good food. All right? Let me think about something that I would enjoy and I would eat at least $28 worth of. That's Glory Days Grill and the Oktoberfest menu, which is outstanding and features the chicken schnitzel, the Bavarian burger on the pretzel bun, the brewer sausage platter, the brewer sausage sandwich, the cheddar ale soup, the slam dunk pretzels. I've had all of it. I would eat so much more than $28 worth of the Glory Days Grill menu. It's delicious. GloryDaysGrill.com is the website for you to get your order in. This man, now part of the 33rd team, and we saw him doing post-game after the Ravens-Bengals game the other night and said, man, I'd like to catch up with this guy, find out a little bit more about what he thinks about what he's seen from the Ravens. He is a former NFL safety. He's with the 33rd team. He's been doing Yahoo, all sorts of stuff. He's Tank Williams, and he's with us now here on GCR. Tank, it is Glenn in Baltimore. It's great to chat with you, man. Thank you for taking a couple of minutes for us.
No, for sure. Thanks for having me.
It's great to chat with you, dude. We've been trying to figure this out, man, like over the last couple of weeks. The Ravens, by every advanced statistic, are a good football team, right? They've still, even after trailing late in the game on Sunday, they've trailed for like a total of 2 minutes all season long. And yet, they're also a team that's blown 2 different 3-possession leads at home and lost games this season. What are the Baltimore Ravens after 5 weeks?
I think the Baltimore Ravens are still trying to find that out. I mean, they've been dealing with, it seems like, injuries for the past couple of years now, yet still that's the most dynamic players in the league, starting with Lamar Jackson. I mean, what that man is able to do on the field is phenomenal. I call him the real-life version of Steamin' Willie Beeman off of any given Sunday. I mean, that's just how dynamic he is on the field. The one thing that's changed between, I think, this year's team and years past is their ability to run the ball. I mean, I think that kind of comes with some of the injuries they still have on the offensive line. They're trying to get J.K. back, along with Gus, who's finally back practicing again. So I think Lamar's been doing his part with his legs, but you'd like to try to see it come along a little bit more with the other running backs. You lose Marquise Hollywood-Brown. Bateman steps up, and he's playing well on the outside. Duvernay as well. We got to get Bateman back healthy again. But I think that once they can play with a little bit of consistency, you'll see a better Ravens team, at least on the offensive side of the ball. I mean, you have to admit, when they played against the Bengals last week, they left some plays out there on the field. I know Lamar would say he had a couple of throws that he wished he could have back. And then you look at that defense, they just need to stop giving up those big splash plays. I mean, you have a lot of talented guys all across the board from the front seven and then on the back end. But it's just the big plays that have been killing them. And we always say in the NFL, like, if you can just make a team try to drive down the field 10, 12, 15 plays and try to score, it's going to be difficult. They're going to probably get in their own way. But if you give up those big splash plays, it makes it so much easier for them to get in the end zone. And that's been the defense's Achilles heel.
Are you convinced, you bring up the guys that still have coming back, and Gus is going to be back in the mix, and we assume that Ronnie Stanley will keep, we liked what we saw from him on Sunday night. You assume he's going to keep working his way back to being in there for every snap. They still have the opportunity. Tyus Bowser, David Ajabo got on the practice field this week. Like, there is a lot to like. They lost Marcus Williams, but it's not supposed to be season long. Are you of the belief that if they get all of those guys back and they stay relatively healthy, that they are a legitimate threat to make a Super Bowl?
I think so. I mean, I think there's so much parity in the league that there are a lot of teams that are a legitimate threat in the Super Bowl. It's been that way in the league for the past couple of years. Perfect example is the Bengals heading to the Super Bowl last year. I mean, I think the way that they played the Buffalo Bills, who are one of the better teams in the NFL, they played them tough and then lost down the stretch at the very end. That shows that they can play and compete with any team in the NFL because, I mean, I think the one thing that you look at is that Buffalo's defense has played some of the best football in the league today. I mean, they got some other teams like the San Francisco 49ers and some other Dallas Cowboys who have been dominant with some of the things they could do pressure-wise. But Buffalo's been right there playing consistent defense, and then they have one of the most explosive offenses in the game as well with Josh Allen, and you have Stephon Diggs, Gabe Davis, all those guys. So to be able to compete with them and come within a close win and look at instances where if you'd have done this or that a little bit better, that you would have come out with a win. I think they have to feel pretty comfortable once they can just start getting some of those guys back and play some consistent football moving forward.
He is Tank Williams, the 33rd team. He's with us here on GCR. Tank, one of the things we've been talking about a lot this week, you referenced the wide receiver picture. Are the Ravens in position where they should be looking to be aggressive and try to make a move to fortify themselves as that type of threat? And I don't know if DJ Moore is really available in Carolina or if it's just sort of being speculated about whether he might be given their situation. But, you know, if he is, we're all around here very interested because it seems like he would be a very good fit. Do you look at the Ravens and say, hey, man, this is the moment. Like, you got to strike. You know, you've got an opportunity in front of you. You got your quarterback. You haven't, you know, had to pay him, but you know that's coming, obviously, in the next year or so. Like, make the move. Go be that bold team to add one more piece and try to be, you know, like the Rams of a year ago, the team that separates yourself a little bit.
I mean, I think it's something that teams are always looking at, and it's something that you have to look at if you're the Ravens. I mean, I think that they've had some huge splash plays from Bateman and Duvernay so far this year. But that being said, I mean, you can't have enough weapons. I mean, like you said, perfect example, the Rams going out there and getting Odell Beckham Jr., adding him to the mix. And I think he was that main differentiator, especially early on in the Super Bowl when they were able to pull off that win against the Bengals. So I think the more guys you can get to help your offense, your team, the better on both sides of the ball. And I always encourage all general managers to look at any and every opportunity that makes sense for their football team. So that would definitely be one for sure.
Is you know, when you look at DJ Moore, is that the type of player that's worthy of giving up a significant price for? Like, do you see him and say that dude's special? You know, if that costs you more than a first-round pick, you do it. You only get so many opportunities to get players like that.
I think he's a really good football player. I think he's also a football player that can fit their scheme as well. I mean, you know, he's kind of built in that Steve Smith mold where, you know, he's a shorter wide receiver, has good route running, great hands. He can almost run the ball like a running back in some instances that you have like the little crack screens and stuff like that. And so when you have a run-heavy team that sees a lot of man coverage, I think he's the type of receiver that can fit and blend in perfectly within that scheme. So from that standpoint, I think that he would be worth taking a look at if you can get it for the right price.
Tank, but, you know, while I have you, I got to ask because it's going around the league this week. The roughing the passer stuff, man, I don't know. The NFL is kind of doubling down and saying, look, we don't think that these calls are wrong. We think that they're right. These are the rules that we wrote. We wrote them for reasons, and this is what we want. We want these calls to be made. The rest of us are saying, what in the hell is going on? This is insane. Grady Jarrett did nothing wrong. Like, there's protecting players, but this has gone way overboard. What do you make of this entire situation and what the league should be doing in these moments?
I mean, well, there's a lot of layers to this. I mean, I think most importantly, the one thing that we all have to understand is this, that now the NFL is getting to the point where they're paying the majority of their quarterbacks north of $40 million per year. And whenever you have that much investment into the face of your franchise, they're going to do whatever they can to protect them. And I don't agree with the way that they're making the calls, but I do also understand why they're making the calls. I mean, we don't want to see backup quarterbacks playing in all these games, especially coming down the stretch when you're trying to make playoff runs and stuff like that. But that being said, I feel like the essence of the NFL football has been kind of taken away. You'll notice that after Chris Jones had that sack strip of Derek Carr and got overturned, the next couple sacks in the game, it looked like a sack in a Pro Bowl where somebody would just go and wrap them up and then the referee would just blow the whistle. Like, I'm not trying to advocate for guys going in and trying to put these just big, vicious hits on the quarterback and taking them out. That being said, I mean, I think these defensive players also have a job to do, and they need to be able to sack and attack the quarterback and try to get the ball out, whether it's doing fumbles, interceptions, and all that kind of stuff. And so when you have it to where these rules are so lax and skewed one-sided in favor of the offense and specifically the quarterback, it kind of takes away from the game, because you can't allow those guys on the other side of the ball to try to do what they need to do to execute on a consistent basis.
It's interesting what you brought up about the Pro Bowl. Do you worry that that's like what essentially this is going to become? Is that moving forward, it's just going to be, hey, look, if you've got the quarterback, if you get to the quarterback, get him in the grasp, wrap him up, and we're just going to blow the play dead at that point, and we're going to lose, the escapability, and we're just going. That's the way it's going to be when it comes to quarterbacks.
I think the NFL just doesn't want to be held liable for any of these issues. I mean, they've had to deal with all the ramifications from concussions. You have a lot of parents who don't want their kids playing football right now, so they're trying to make the game as safe as possible and always trying to make it seem like they're doing their part to protect the players. And I think they are trying to make a strong change to protect the players. But at the same time, I think there's a lot of self-interest at heart as well when you think about all these lawsuits that popped up and how much money they have invested in some of these key positions. Like, you don't want to have these guys taken out and missing seasons at a time when your product is best when they're out there on the field. So they're trying to weigh whether, people can stomach this type of football where there's less contact on the quarterbacks, these controversial calls, fans getting upset about what they're seeing on the field versus trying to keep the most valuable part of their franchise out there on the field for all 17 games and also throughout the postseason. So I think that's what they're trying to balance out. And then, they're always going to weigh with public opinion. So right now they have this hard stance, but if the fans boo and complain enough, I think we'll see some changes. I mean, I think a review process would probably be best, but I'm not exactly sure if or when we'll get there.
Yeah, I've been in favor of the Sky Judge concept for a long time, but for some reason it's just not, like, we got it, but we didn't really get it this year. It's a very strange bit. Tank Williams, what all can we plug for you, man? I know you're doing stuff with the 33rd team, but I know that's not the only place where people can find you these days.
Yeah, I do some stuff with the 33rd team, but I've been with Yahoo for a while. I've been a fantasy NFL and some sports betting analyst for them. I also do some work with Live on the Line, a TV show on Bally's Network, where we give some gambling advice for college and NFL football games. So I try to stay busy, but you can find me on Twitter at TankWilliams13 or on Instagram at the same handle.
Yeah, at TankWilliams13, give him a follow there. Tank, really appreciate you taking a couple of minutes for us this morning, man. Would love to do it again later on.
Yeah, sure. Thanks for having me.
Tank Williams checking in with us here on GCR. John in particular is really trying to pressure us to do the stupid Taco Bell thing. He said, yeah, drinks count, and just win, and then you don't have to do it. It's not that easy, John. The most likely scenario is that we tie, and then we both have to do it. We're spending $56 worth of terrible food. God.
You should see if KZ wants in.
You know what? I'd be willing to ask him if he'd be willing. I think he'll say no, though. I think he's at a place in his life where he's like, yeah, I don't need to do this. I get the idea is that you're spreading it out a little bit. Stecca is, of course, another part of the world, so he couldn't do it. I'd be willing to text all the other boys.
Okay.
And see who would be willing to get in on this bet.
Okay.
Just quickly text. So Kyle, John, Paul. I think Paul has a real job. I don't know if he can come in here during the week. I don't think it's an option. I think Kyle's got a real job. You know what? I think that's the problem. Is that, like, they would all do it, but I don't think any of them, because they all have real, like, day jobs. I don't know if they can take a day off and come. Like, they wouldn't be able to do it until, like, weeks from now. Text Casey. We'll talk to Casey about it. We'll see.
Okay.
Because I think he's got the most flexibility.
Right.
But John was pressuring me. Now he says, you'll be destroyed since you haven't had Taco Bell in that long of a time period. Please stay away from that debacle.
Wait, he wanted you to do it? And
he was pressuring us. Just win the bet. Yeah, drinks. Like, he was like, do it. Now he's changed his mind.
Now he's walking back.
Jeff says, I actually think the 7-Up milk thing might be tasty. I think they might be onto something.
There's no way.
I don't know if I agree with that. I don't know if I agree with that. All right, we'll talk to Casey about both, and we'll make a decision. We'll do one of them.
I think we should do both. I think we should do both.
Think the loser for this week.
Yeah,
you have to do both things.
Eat Taco Bell, you got to chase it with 7-Up milk.
I was just told that drinks count and getting me to $28. I'm gonna need it to, because there's no way I'm getting to $28 otherwise. God damn. Stecca did also bring up giving up multiple for early round picks for a stud wide receiver is the cost of not being able to draft them with a singular early round pick yourself. I agree, but there's still, like, I still feel like there has to be a limit. Like, I don't think you're giving up multiple firsts for DJ Moore. I love DJ Moore, but I don't think you can do that. All right, hour number 1 of today's show is in the books. It's also been brought to you by your local Toyota dealer, buyatoyota.com. The Toyota Tacoma comes in a range of models and trim lines. You can choose the perfect Tacoma to reflect your unique personality and driving habits. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new Tacomas from your local Toyota dealer today. Charles Davis is calling Ravens-Giants for CBS. He'll join us next. Glenn Clark Radio. The Baltimore County Police Department is hiring. Entry-level officers start at close to $59,000 a year with a $10,000 bonus. Some restrictions apply. Plus a great retirement plan, medical, dental, and vision insurance, advancement to specialized units, tuition reimbursement, 15 sick days earned per calendar year, and even further incentives for military members and veterans. If you have a passion for service and want a career for life, visit joinbaltimorecountypd.com or call 410-887-5542. You must be a United States citizen, possess a valid driver's license, and have a high school diploma or GED equivalent. The Baltimore County Police Department is an equal opportunity employer.
Come experience Maryland's #1 sportsbook this NFL season at the FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel, the ultimate place for any sports enthusiast. Take advantage of our 24/7 kiosks, massive video screens, and watch all the action from the best seat in the house. With more money paid out than anyone around, make every moment more at the new FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel in Hanover, Maryland. Please play responsibly. Gambling problem? Please call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit mdgamblinghelp.org.
Glory Days Grill's Oktoberfest menu is now running. It's one of their most popular seasonal menus all year. It features the chicken schnitzel, the Oktoberfest brewer's platter, the brewer's sausage sandwich, the Bavarian burger with a pretzel bun, the cheddar ale soup, the slam dunk pretzels, and the apple cobbler. All of these meals pair well with Oktoberfest beers and Angry Orchard on draft. Dine in or order online at glorydaysgrill.com and pick up your favorites to take home. Glory Days Grill, great food, good sports.
That first sip. That first bite. Start your day off right with a delicious breakfast at Royal Farms. Choose from a fantastic selection of fresh Royal Farms breakfast sandwiches and top it off with a rich hot cup of the freshest coffee in the world. At Royal Farms, breakfast is available day and night. It's the freshest breakfast in the world. Real fresh, real fast. Royal Farms.
Have you been to Guilford Hall Brewery? Located in Baltimore's Station North neighborhood, Guilford Hall Brewery breaks the craft brew mold with their great handcrafted microbrews and amazing Bavarian-style food selections. Join Guilford Hall 7 days a week for Orioles, Ravens, and all of your favorite college games. Make plans now to watch the big games, play trivia, or bring your dog for Yappy Hour. They even have free valet service on Friday and Saturday nights. Go to guilfordhall.com for a complete schedule of events, beer listings, and food and drink specials. We'll see you at Guilford Hall Brewery.
Tune in to Simply the Bets every Tuesday and Weekend at Bookies every other Thursday at 11:40 a.m. And if you really have nothing better to do, keep listening to this show too.
All right, back in here on GCR. If you missed it yesterday, Stan the Fan Charles trying to help you get ready for the start of the Maryland 5-Star, which, again, is scheduled to get underway today, weather pending. He had a great conversation with writer Lillian Hurd, and you can find that right now by going to facebook.com/PressBoxSports, clicking on the videos tab. Go to youtube.com/PressBoxOnline or PressBoxOnline.com/video. You'll also find the show that he and Ross Grimsley did with great Kenny Singleton this week. Stan the Fan working hard for you to get you some great content every week. Had to do this a little bit earlier on because of his schedule getting ready for a big game on Sunday, but always a thrill to catch up with Charles Davis from CBS right here on GCR. Well, it's always a pleasure to welcome our next guest back to GCR. He will be on the call once again. Quick 2-week turnaround. He's seen a lot of the Ravens already this season, as he will be in New Jersey when the Ravens take on the Giants this Sunday, 1 o'clock on CBS, alongside our friends Ian Eagle and Evan Washburn. He is the great Charles Davis. He's back with us now on the program. Charles, it's Glenn. Great to chat with you, man. Thank you so much for taking the time for us.
Thanks for having me, Glenn. Always good to talk with you. Always fun.
Charles, you know I love you and your crew, but if this game goes anything like the last one, we're probably going to have to ban you.
Done.
Yeah, it's just going to probably have to be over for the Ian, Charles, Evan crew with the Ravens this season. I hope you understand that.
We understand. We get it. I mean, we realize we have zero impact on what happens on the field.
Yeah.
But somebody's got to take the hit.
That's the way it
goes.
goes.
And that's just how it goes down. And it's funny because coaches are the exact same way. I mean, I've literally walked into meetings and a coach will say, I've lost my last 3 with you guys. I'm really not excited about seeing you. I was like, when you know your record based on TV crew, either you have too much time on your hand or your assistant does.
No doubt.
But either way.
Oh man, that is. You know what? I'm not. You know what though? I'm really not surprised by that. I'm not
You're
at
not
all
surprised. That's how it goes.
No
That's how
question.
sports is.
Hey,
Sports is we're all real quick, Glenn. We're all a very superstitious lot, okay?
Correct.
And we can call it. Some people won't use the word superstitious, right? You and I both know that they'll call it rituals or it's my process. I was like, no, you're superstitious because you're doing the same thing every single time. I get it, absolutely get it. And just the way it is, people are looking for a way out when they're losing. When they're winning, they want to keep it going the exact same way. It's like equal lose, keep wearing the same socks while you win. All those sort of things that go along with it.
I know. I completely get it. And we're not, we're not superstitious.
I'm not above it either.
We're a little stitious. That's all.
I get it.
Charles, we've been trying to figure out. We spent the better part of the last couple of weeks since you guys did the Bills game, just what the Ravens are. And the dumb thing to say is, hey, it doesn't matter. We're 5 games into the season. We still got a lot of time to figure it out. But how do you look at the totality of a Ravens team that statistically is quite good, the Football Outsiders, the DVOA numbers, they're all very good, but they are also still a team that's blown 2 separate 3-possession leads this season at home. How do you take, all of that into account when we try to figure out what the Ravens are at this point?
You do have to take it all into account, Glenn. I think it's a total. It's in total, and it's a full view. And there is something to it's only 5 games. There is a truth to that. That shouldn't be totally kicked to the curb. There is a truth that a number of new elements on the defensive side of the ball, I'm going to stick there to start with, are playing bigger minutes or snap numbers more than what they thought. There is a new defensive coordinator, despite the fact he'd been around that franchise for a long time before a 1-year hiatus at the University of Michigan. So it's a different voice now in front of the room every day talking to the troops instead of Don Martindale,
Sure.
who they were very used to and knew how it went. And the other thing that I think that, we really can't overstate is part of the way you close out ball games when you have double-digit leads is you go hit the quarterback. They've not had the same people out there, okay? Oweh didn't get his first sack until Buffalo.
Yep.
Okay? Bowser has not played yet. Ojabo was drafted to be a quarterback chaser. He's been out. Had to sign Jason Pierre-Paul, and the first game we had was Buffalo, and I thought he'd play 10, 15, 20 plays max. I don't have it in front of me, but I get the sense he played like 50-something plays.
100%. I mean, and by the way, he's played well. Like, he's been far better than we could have expected.
Played poorly. I'm just saying they signed him that week.
Yeah.
And he played 50-something snaps. So they are still evolving into who they ultimately want to be. My feeling about them is that if Bowser makes it back, if Ojabo makes it to the field and rounds into form, the last 5, 6, 7 games, that's when I think we'll see the best from this defense. When Kyle Hamilton fully gets immersed and comfortable. Because if I'm not mistaken, he played, 50-something snaps week 1, 40-something snaps week 2, and his numbers have really dropped since then.
Down to like 15.
But I don't think it's because they're upset. Look, they'd like for him to, make less mistakes, of course. But they do know how good he's going to be. And I think they just said he's swimming in deep water. Let's get him out for a while, okay? Let him go back in and get immersed a little bit easier. And I think that's where they are right now because Geno Stone's going to take those minutes, those snaps away from Marcus Williams' injury to start off and still continue to work Kyle Hamilton in. By the end of the year, his snaps could go back up in the 50s. That means he's acclimated and he's handling everything well.
Charles Davis with us here on Glenn Clark Radio. He's on the call, Ravens-Giants on CBS on Sunday. Charles, you just brought up Marcus Williams being sidelined. I mean, the good news is it doesn't appear as though it's a season ender and they're going to get him back. But, boy, he had been as advertised since he arrived, and that had been the one thing that we kind of looked at with this defense and said, hey, they might not be great, but they appear to be opportunistic. How much of a loss is it for the Ravens to be without Marcus Williams?
It's a big one because even though he's brand new to the team, he understands his role as a roving free safety. And you remember those great Seattle teams, the Legion of Boom? Cam Chancellor could sit in the short zones. He could play in the box. He could do all those things. And as Richard Sherman used to like to say about him, he doesn't just tackle you; he takes your soul. I mean, Cam Chancellor, he scared the heck out of everybody on those low crossers, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they could do that because the corners handled their business out there. All right, it was always Richard Sherman, and there was always a question about who would be opposite him. But they always seemed to find guys that could give them play for a year or two that could be pretty darn good. And then they might find their next one and their next one. But the biggest thing for all of it was that Earl Thomas, who you guys saw for a short time in Baltimore, he was the best eraser in the game when he was in his prime. He took care of everything. So when you go back to our game against Buffalo, I looked at Marcus Peters at one corner. That is an apex ball hawk. All right? All those interceptions, all those returns for touchdowns, ball magnet, okay? Look at the other corner, Marlon Humphrey. He was like the Matrix to me. He could be anywhere, do anything, whatever the situation called for, go in the slot, blitz, drop into coverage, man-to-man, lock up, whatever. Matrix guy. Marcus Williams was the Earl Thomas role. He was the eraser over the top. Who takes that role now? Geno Stone's going to have to take it to start. Hamilton to be a part of it, and we'll see what happens from there.
The return of Ronnie Stanley was much welcomed here in Baltimore last week.
Yeah.
And I know it was a pitch count, and I imagine that he'll still be eased back.
It's got to go up as time goes
right,
on.
exactly right. But that combined with what you've seen since the Ravens got J.K. Dobbins back, are you of the belief that they're trending to where they want to be? That was such a huge problem at the beginning of the season, Charles, and especially in the Miami game, their utter inability to run the football. With those pieces back in place, are you more of a believer that the Ravens are going to be able to be the balanced offense that they want to be, both running and passing the ball as the season goes on?
I do. I see it trending upward. I think Morgan Moses has played really well.
Yeah.
At right tackle. I think he's been a really excellent player. Zeitler is Zeitler. He's always going to be consistently good, consistently excellent. Linderbaum, I loved him coming out. I said he was a plug-and-play for whoever drafted him. Just make him your starting center. Don't draft him if you're not going to just hand him the ball like Creed Humphrey. And they've done that, and he's done a really nice job. And I don't think he's been as overwhelmed by power as many people thought he would be. You know, Glenn, when it all started, they were like, yeah, how's he going to have that 320 on his nose?
Right.
He does a good job positioning. He has a good job with his balance. There's going to be times he's going to lose that battle because he's not the biggest guy going. But more times than not, look, he's Corey Linsley, right? He's Jason Kelsey. He's Creed Humphrey. These guys know how to play, and they play at a really high level. So I'm crazy about Linderbaum. Ben Powers is going to fight you like mad. But getting Stanley back, see, Faalele was not the issue against Buffalo. He played better than we thought, better maybe even expected. But remember, that game had to help him all the time because you weren't about to leave him on an island with Von Miller and just say, yeah, rookie handled that. Well, if you're helping him all the time, that's changing what other people are doing. With Ronnie Stanley, as his pitch count goes away, you're not spending a lot of help to his side, which means the backs can get out in the pass patterns better. The tight end doesn't have to stand as long to help chip on a pass rusher. You've got better options downfield and moving forward because Ronnie Stanley have things locked up there, and getting Patrick McCary back. That was huge. Now you get your swing tackle back. Anything goes wrong, you plug him in, and by the way, you can plug in at all 5 spots. You don't get that very many places.
That's a great point. That's a great point. It's such valuable flexibility that it brings to your offensive line on the whole. I completely agree. Charles, just one more on the Ravens. I want to talk to you about the Giants because they're fascinating to me, right? But we saw a week ago with Rashad Bateman not on the field, and Devin Duvernay, I think, has played quite well. But again, it seemed like there was reluctance. There was no other wide receiver who caught more than one ball. It just doesn't seem like there is a repertoire, that there is a faith that Lamar Jackson has in any of these other guys. With what's going on with the Panthers this week, all of a sudden DJ Moore, the former Terp, his name has become very popular in Baltimore. There's a lot of people that are very desirous. Do you look at this team and say, they could still use one more weapon for Lamar Jackson if they want to make a serious run towards the Super Bowl?
I think so, because I just think that more and more people are going to run more and more people with Mark Andrews.
Yeah.
He played really well on Sunday night.
No doubt.
Caught 8 balls. But against Buffalo, he had 2 catches.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. He is their wide receiver 1. Okay. He reminds me of when Steve McNair was with the Tennessee Titans. Frank Wycheck was his wide receiver 1, even though he had good receivers on the perimeter. He reminds me a lot of when Cam Newton was in Carolina, and Greg Olsen filled that role as wide receiver 1. Kelvin Benjamin gave 1,000-yard season before his weight blew up as expected.
Right.
He was done. Okay, so they weren't getting that same production out wide. This is what it reminds me of. And then Mark Andrews is truly the go-to guy. But if you have people who can make plays, and that's why I thought getting Bateman was a big deal, because he was going to run a lot of plays in the slot. And Glenn, he can run down the seams, and those were Lamar is his best throwing the football. Well, if he's out, who picks up that role? Isaiah Likely, can he be more of a factor? But who is the guy that scares you out wide? I don't know they have someone that keeps defensive coordinators up yet outside. Duvernay can flat out run. We know that.
Mm-hmm.
But how often are we talking about him on the perimeter and making a play that backs off everyone? We haven't seen it totally yet. He's trying to get there, and I think he's done a really nice job. But I'd be surprised if we pulled DCs and said, okay, who's the guy that scares you the most at wide receiver if Rashad Bateman's not on the field? I don't know. We'll get a look that'll say, well, this guy or this guy or this guy. I think most of them would be Mark Andrews.
Sure, of course. I mean, I get it. And look, I like the way they used Devin Duvernay on Sunday night, right? Like, I thought it was very creative.
They did a really nice job. Here's my thing. I always want one guy on my squad that's going to scare you running downfield.
Thank you.
I want that one guy, but I want a guy who's a legit guy. I don't want a guy that I drafted off the track team like I was in high school to come out here and run these deep routes and maybe we'll scare him. No, I want a legit made receiver who can run and catch and shred you, because Lamar Jackson's passing to me has gotten to the point now where the idea that he's only going to throw inside the numbers, I think is folly. See, I think that he can hurt people that way. Now, go back to Sunday night. He did miss 2 big opportunities Sunday night.
Yep.
But he won't miss them every week. That was just one of those nights. And let me come here to praise Lamar Jackson, Glenn.
No doubt.
Because my thing about quarterbacks is I love watching a guy go 26 of 29, 412 yards, 4 touchdowns, no picks, be surgical, be amazing, be whatever. I love it. It's fun to watch. But I think I evaluate quarterbacks, and the guys that I put on my list of, oh yeah, he's a legit dude, is a quarterback who's 17 of 32, 35 into the fourth quarter, 2 picks, missed open receivers, but this is a got to have it drive, and he goes 5 for 6, shreds you with his legs when he needs to, and puts you in position where he kick the game-winning field goal. Was that not Lamar Jackson Sunday night?
I mean, again, he wasn't brilliant. He was exactly who you wanted in that circumstance. When the game was on the line, you had
game was on the line.
Yep.
Did he take his team down and give them a chance to win? Did he pull it together when he'd been inaccurate most of the night? Did everything happen when the game was on the line? It absolutely did. That's a quarterback. Okay, in my book. Okay, this is a one-person grading sheet, a one-person what I like and I'm looking for. Because we've seen all the brilliant games otherwise. We've seen 5 touchdown games. We've seen, we've seen him shred you with the legs 12 different times over 100 yards. We've seen 2 1,000-yard rushing seasons. We've seen all of that. So all of that is there. No problem. But he struggled Sunday night. Those open receivers, how about on that 4th down play? It couldn't have been drawn up designed any better.
It makes you sick.
They had it. They nailed it.
Yep.
And he flat out missed it.
Yep. It was right there.
But when the game was on the line later, that miss did not affect him being the quarterback they needed when the game was on the line. So once again, I'm back to in the Charles Davis grading sheet.
Right.
Lamar Jackson is a legitimate quarterback.
Charles, I mean,
that's what legitimate quarterbacks do.
And by the way,
he did it on Sunday night.
He's been plenty brilliant a lot this season. It's okay for him to have one night where maybe he wasn't genius. He was just good, and what you needed.
But the great ones when it's time.
Yep.
When you have to have it.
Yep.
They could have thrown 4 picks that day, but they give you a chance.
No question.
And he more than did that with his team on Sunday, and that may have been the most impressive game for me that I'm pulling out of my recent memory bank. That's the one I would point to and say, this is why I like Lamar Jackson.
Wow.
This is why I think he's brilliant when people are going to go, but what about this game? Yeah. But this game, 5 straight at home losing. Looks like they scored late, put you in a tough position. You haven't been that guy. You haven't been scintillating throwing the ball all game. We have no other time. We're not getting the ball back, and he did it. That's why he's a legit QB to me.
Man, that is high praise, and it's fascinating that, right? Like the week that he didn't necessarily look like the MVP is the week that you said, no, dude, that's why he's the guy.
That's why I'm going to roll with him, because there'll be more weeks they look like the legit MVP.
No question.
I'm not
no question.
About that.
No, he is.
But that team, and Glenn.
Yep.
They lose that game to Cincinnati.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
After controlling most of it, let's say that last drive goes awry and Cincinnati walks out with a win, 6 straight at home, another game with a blown lead. Now we're really talking about what's going on. Guess what? I'm old enough that there's a character on the Flintstones with the Flintstone kids called Schleprock, who walked around all the time with a black cloud over his head.
Yeah.
Essentially saying, "Woe is me."
Yep.
If they lose that ball game,
Schleprock
is in Baltimore.
Brother, it would have been a week where I didn't want to come in here most days. It would have been a
not
miserable
now.
week. Yep.
Now that question's gone,
Yep,
right?
we're
That's
good.
off the table now.
Yep.
We're back to these are the Ravens. And that respect factor is back where it's supposed to be. They ground out a tough, gritty win, which they're used to doing. That question's gone now. That's a big deal for them.
I know I've kept you long already. I just want to squeeze one in if I could about the Giants, Charles, because we talk about trying to figure out what a team is. The Giants are 5-1, and they beat the Packers, and they beat the Titans, and yet they are, 5.5 point home dogs this week.
Yep.
There is an unbelievable amount of disrespect that's being shown to what has been a really good start and a really good story. I get it. We're still not maybe living in fear of Daniel Jones as a passer just yet, but I don't know. I feel like we're being too quick to dismiss what has been a legitimate team to this point in the season.
Yeah, they haven't done it for as long as Tennessee has done it, but I think they're in the same vein offensively.
Okay.
Everything runs through one player in Tennessee, and that's 22 Derrick Henry.
Right.
The people he had before. Now, look, A.J. Brown would scare you, okay, even more so than Corey Davis was when he was the first-round pick there. A.J. Brown scared the heck out of you. Okay, so he had legit people out wide, all right? They fashioned together things with time. Jonnu Smith had a career year and ended up signing with New England. The Anthony Ferguson wasn't as good as they thought he was going to be in terms of that offense. They're still trying to find that guy. They drafted Chigo Quankwo out of Maryland. He could be more like Delaney Walker. My point being, when you sit down to plan, everything starts with 22, okay? You don't fall asleep on everyone else. But can they really scare you? Probably not. Especially now. A.J. Brown not there. Treylon Burks is hurt. Who is it, right? Who scares me out on the perimeter? There's really no one at the moment. So that means more of a load on Henry. How do you fashion things to make things work for him? Tennessee has now won their last 3. They're figuring it out. The Giants feel like the same type of deal because everything runs through 26 and Saquon Barkley.
Yep.
Because at the receiver position, Kenny Golladay hasn't lived up to the contract. Darius Slayton is just reemerging after being kind of buried for a while. Wan'Dale Robinson, the second-round pick, has been dinged. Kadarius Toney, first-round pick, hasn't given him much of anything. So last week in London, the top receivers for the Giants were Darius Slayton, Richie James, Marcus Johnson, and David Sills.
Just like we all drew up. Just like we all imagined.
So once again, how are they doing it? They're creating more offense for Barkley, get him out into the screen game, swing it to him, get all of his best runs in, wildcat him. Okay, so they're giving different looks, different things to try and create good plays for him. And then Daniel Jones is taking care of the football. In the past, didn't we have that streak of 20 games or something like that where he had a turnover in every game?
That's right. Oh, my.
We're not talking about that now. We're not doing that now. The other part is he showed his toughness with his team on a bum ankle, went out and played in London, and ran in key times, ran for 30-something yards. So he has gained the respect of this team fashioning offense when he could be saying, Coach, who am I throwing to? You don't hear that out of them. They're finding a way. And if the game's close and tight, they've developed a toughness that they don't even have to talk about. The prior regime talked about toughness all the time, but in the clutch never exhibited it, meaning mental toughness to win ball games. This team doesn't even talk about it, but somehow they're mentally tough enough to reel Green Bay in, to come back and go for 2 and beat Tennessee on the road. All right, to hang in there against Carolina when they didn't play particularly well and find a way to win at the end. They don't mind getting into the fourth quarter. And if they get into the fourth quarter somehow already, and Glenn, you tell me where their culture was that says that they could reach back and go, oh, yeah, we can rely on that. They don't. It's not there. So it's developed in a very short amount of time with Brian Daboll and his staff. So a lot of credit to them, but a lot of credit for these players being open enough to grasp it, accept it, and then find ways to win, and their confidence only keeps building.
There's no doubt, and I think they're a threat. I'm nervous about this on Sunday, Charles. I think they're a good football team. Man, we kept you for this long, and we probably could still do another hour and a half, bro. You always.
Well, a lot of it's been me rattling on.
No, but
you're
so good. You're so. This is why, and you know the affinity that we have for Ian and Evan, of course, too. But this is why.
They're the best, aren't they?
I love whenever I find out that your crew is working a game, I get really excited about it, man. Charles Davis, is there anything at all we can plug for you besides everybody's already going to be tuned in. We don't have to tell people to tune in Baltimore. But is there anything else we can plug for you besides the game?
No, just happy I'm here with you, having talking ball. That's our job. That's not a bad way to make a living, man.
Yeah, there are worse things to do.
We are lucky people. We are some of the lucky people in the world where we wake up and look forward to work.
No doubt, man. That is well said. Charles Davis, truly appreciate you, my friend. Thank you so much for taking a few minutes for us this morning.
You take care of yourself, okay?
Charles Davis, man, I love our conversations with him. So much good in there. Appreciate him taking the time for us. Today's show also brought to you by Guilford Hall Brewery, 1611 Guilford Avenue in Station North. What a gem it is in our city, an incredible facility. They've got events throughout the week, yappy hours, trivia, things along those lines. They've got a huge Halloween party coming up on the 29th. Costume contest, live music. It's all free. Find out more at guilfordhall.com. The beer, outstanding. You got to try the Guilford Hall Lager. The food, the Bavarian menu is excellent. Again, guilfordhall.com is the website for you to find out more. Guilford Hall Brewery, 1611 Guilford Avenue in Station North. I cannot recommend enough that you get out to Guilford Hall Brewery. It's an amazing place. Quickly, before we get into picks, two things. One from Eric. The Ravens should pay this is Eric. This is Rita's Eric. Not only should the Ravens pay a first and a third, they should be willing to pay more. The Ravens should pay this and then some. DJ Moore will be the best wide receiver Lamar has had by a wide margin. I just don't know how much more you can give up. Realistically, I just don't know how much more you can give up than a first and a third round pick in order to make a trade, for somebody that isn't a quarterback, right? Like, I just think there is a limit to it. And from Dave. Dave says, this is Mark. Mark says, Panthers are selling a lot of commodities, but that's too much capital to give up to a team that's willing to sell assets. The trades at the draft and after the season were contractual reasons with each team. You don't see teams trading first at the deadline during the season, so no. Okay, then you don't get the player. Like this thing where you think the Panthers are just going to give up DJ Moore. The Panthers might just give up Robbie Anderson, but the bit you're doing if you think they're just going to give up DJ Moore, like, hell, we don't need good players. Like they're just going to sign up to stink for the next 5 years. Stop. You got to pay a real price in order to get a player. That's the way it works. God, we're stupid sometimes. All right. I'm sorry. I'm not, Mark, you're not a stupid person. It's just it's not the way it works. I'm sorry. I went too far. I've gone too far. Ken Zalis is with us. We got to do a quicker version of picks this week. What's going on, KZ? How you doing, pal?
I'm good. How are you doing?
What would you be willing to pay for DJ Moore?
Fourth.
What?
A fourth.
What did you say? A force?
A fourth round pick.
Okay, then stop. Well, I mean, so you're just saying you wouldn't want to get DJ Moore.
I mean, you asked me what I would give up for him. No, I don't.
But you know that you can't get a DJ Moore. I'm not giving up.
I'm not giving up a. I'm not giving up a 1, 2, or 3 for DJ Moore. No.
So why do you not?
Then I'm not getting him.
Right. Why do you not want DJ Moore? I just want
because I'll be very honest. I think there are other holes on the Ravens team that I'd rather put my assets into than a wide receiver that's going to get 6 targets max a game the way this offense is constructed. And so he doesn't have as much value in Baltimore as he would somewhere else, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't know if I agree with that. He's gotten plenty of targets in a place where they literally have Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah, but they're always down. See, but they're always down. They're always down. They have nobody. They have nobody else to throw to. They have nobody else to throw to. I mean, it's McCaffrey and DJ Moore. There's nobody else.
I understand that, but they always throw to McCaffrey.
I know, but you're coming to Baltimore, and you're looking at a situation where is he third? Is he second in targets? If you put him above Bateman, because he's behind Andrews.
Yes, he'd be behind Andrews, but I do think that he would immediately be like. Again, this goes back to are the general manager and the head coach on the same page, right? Like, correct. If you're doing the bit that they did with Unique Ngakoue, where they just went and got a player that the coaching staff clearly didn't want, right? Like, if you're doing that, then it's a big problem. But if everybody's on the same page, then you're not bringing him here to be like, yeah, but we like Bateman better. Like, that is the
I just don't.
Right. So your answer is you just don't want DJ Moore. That's fine. I understand that.
Right. I just don't want DJ Moore.
You hate everything related to Maryland football, except you picked him last week like an idiot.
I picked him last week. What are you talking about?
Like an idiot.
What are you talking about?
Quickly, because we got to do a rapid version of picks this week. One, would you be willing to participate if Griffin and I do another side bet this week? I don't know what your life looks like. Is there an ability for you to stop by the studio sometime next week to participate if we do a side bet next week?
I'm going to be real honest and say no, not next week. The week after, let's discuss, but next week, no.
All right, we'll save because the one is timely. Do you think?
Okay.
What? Oh, damn it. We'll do the stupid bet, Griffin. I don't want to do it, but we're going to do the stupid bet.
Do the $30 worth of Taco Bell?
$28.
What's the bet?
It's the thing.
What's the bet?
We have to eat $28 worth of Taco Bell during a show. I'm going to die.
I mean,
I can't eat that much food. I can't do it.
What's the most expensive thing at Taco Bell?
$8. It's a double steak burrito of some sort.
Oh, Jesus.
So you'd have to eat 3 of those at least.
3 of those.
John's trying to convince me that drinks count. But I don't drink soda. I don't drink soda.
Lemonade. You can drink lemonade.
I don't drink lemonade. Actually, I don't drink any sugary
iced tea.
Do they have ginger ale at Taco Bell? I could drink ginger ale.
I don't think they do.
There you go.
Damn it, they probably don't. They probably don't. There's a real problem. All right, we'll do the stupid. This is a terrible idea, but we'll do it. I hope you lose.
Go.
God, you better lose.
All right,
Griffin's been hot recently, too, which is the real problem.
He's moved up in the world.
Oh, 100%. He's a game back of you. He's tied with me now because he's been hot. The sad part is we've reached the point of the season where everybody stinks. Exactly right.
I know.
Casey is literally the only one of us that's above 500 at the moment, 26 and 24. It's a real problem.
For now.
Griffin and I are game back. Then Kyle and Proctor 2 games back. Paul 3 games back. And Stecca holding steady.
He's old. I just got to have the same record as Stecca every week from now on the rest of the way.
All reliable. The good news for me this week is I don't know what Stecca's picks are. I got that going for me, which is the good news.
Okay.
All right, let's make our picks of the week. Picks are brought to you this week by the Tyus Bowser Show. Bad news, I'm sorry. We have to delay. The next Tyus Bowser show won't be until November 1st. It's not Tyus's fault. It has nothing to do with his return to the field. It's Rita and I's fault. We're gone next week, and we just couldn't, with the Thursday night game the following week, we couldn't figure out a way to move the date. So we'll be back on November 1st, Hamilton Tavern. Looking forward to seeing you guys out for the Tyus Bowser Show. Partnership with Pressbox and Grade 8's Memorabilia. Brought to you by the Ginsu Kamado Grill and Maryland Vascular Specialist. PressBoxOnline.com/Bowser. Let's move quickly.
All right, Terps at Indiana Saturday at 3:30 on ESPN2. ESPN2. Terps are laying 11.5 in Bloomington.
I don't love it, but Indiana stinks, and I'm going to assume that Maryland's pretty pissed off about what happened last week. This line actually makes sense to me based on Indiana, so I'm going to go with Maryland.
This worked so well last week. I may have to start a trend.
Oh, you're just going to purposely pick Maryland every week because you want to see him lose? Such a weird bit. The man likes Maryland. He just hates Maryland football.
I do. It's just one of those things. I'm going to take Maryland. I really think Indiana is a very bad team.
Yeah, that's the thought here. Although, again, Maryland giving 11 points on the road anywhere.
It's scary.
Yeah,
it's scary.
I agree.
We are all on the same page. It is a clean sweep.
All right.
Everyone is on
Wow.
All right. That means there's no chance.
Okay.
That means there's
there's zero chance.
We were all on the Ravens last week. How'd that work out for?
Next up in the college football world, number 10, Penn State.
I mean, Indiana lost to Nebraska. Like, I need you guys to think about that.
Badly.
Yes, correct.
Badly.
Penn State at Michigan at noon on Fox. Michigan minus 6.5 in Ann Arbor.
Boy, Michigan's gonna run. The question does that keep the score low scoring enough that it gives Penn State a chance to cover? Boy, oh boy, I got it. I'll go with Michigan. I mean, Blake Corum's a monster. I'll go with Michigan.
Yeah, because it's under a touchdown, I'm going to go with Michigan as well. Yeah. So, not much more to it than that.
Yeah, I agree. I am really nervous about they do want to play a lower scoring style of football, and so that.
But they don't give up much. They don't give up many points.
Very fair.
I agree, as does everyone else. Once again, a clean sweep.
Well, this
everyone
is
on the
exciting segment.
Yeah, Griffin and I are both going to have to eat $28 worth of Taco Bell.
Here we go. Number 1, Alabama at number, or they're number 3, right? Did I mess up that?
They're not number 1.
Yeah, number 3, Alabama.
3 versus 6.
Yeah, at number 6, Tennessee. Game day is there. 3:30 on CBS. Alabama laying 7 on the road.
I mean, Alabama. Look, man. What's going on? What's the story with Young? He's playing, right?
I don't know if they've announced that yet.
I mean, as long as he's
I think there's a chance.
Well, whatever. Alabama's the answer, for God's sakes.
I just feel like the 7 points is just the trap because they want people to take Tennessee, and this is where Alabama tells the SEC, "Yeah, you're a nice story, but bye-bye," and I'll take Alabama.
Look, I hear you, but if Bryce Young doesn't play, they looked obviously quite beatable a week ago against Texas.
They looked beatable. I mean, I thought the last thing I saw is that he was trending in the right direction.
Yeah, there was a video yesterday that the football page posted of him throwing the ball around practice.
And
he looked pretty good.
It was a sprained AC joint, correct? Was the story on? I mean, I don't know. Even if he's in pain,
something like that. I just don't think you win this contest picking against teams like Alabama.
I agree with that thought. The other thing I would add in, what
I don't know. This is from 10 minutes ago. I mean, this guy doesn't have a check mark, but he's in Tuscaloosa News, or no, he's in Knoxville.
Just say something.
Richard West says that reports that Richard West reports that Sheldon Haygood in Tuscaloosa reports that Bryce Young will not play against Tennessee this Saturday.
But I don't know who this person is. I need to know more about this before I hang on a second.
I'm still taking Alabama. I don't care if he plays or not.
Then I'm taking Alabama too. What are we doing?
I'm taking Alabama as well. Paul is on Alabama. Ken on Alabama. Paul on Alabama. All right, here we go. John, Kyle, and Stecco on Tennessee. So we're pretty split.
This doesn't appear to be.
There we go.
This doesn't appear to
go.
be a real person by any stretch of the imagination.
Okay.
Nothing about this appears to be real. So.
All right, moving on to the NFL. Why didn't we pick the Thursday night game tonight?
Because it stinks. Go.
Jets
oh my God!
You kidding me?
Would have been a fun one.
Although, in fairness, it is almost so bad that we should have picked it.
Yeah.
You're right about that.
Jets at Packers, 1 o'clock on Fox. Packers laying 7 at home against the New York Jets.
All of the DVOA, all of the advanced statistics say this line is wrong. All of the advanced statistics say that there is not any difference so far this season between the Jets and the Packers. Now, I refuse to believe that. But I do think that this line is still playing into they're the Packers, they're the Jets. I'm gonna feel stupid, but at 7 points, I'm going to take the Jets.
I just can't. They've got to figure this out. They've looked good for a half. Maybe they put 2 halves. Jets are a fun story. They got a lot of young players. I just don't buy it going into Green Bay yet.
I
so
like their secondary against the Packers wide receivers.
I like lots of things about.
Yes, I like everything except Zach Wilson, but even Zach Wilson's played well. It's a really I don't know. I gotta wash my hands here. I feel really. I don't think they're gonna win. I just think 7 points is too much. That's all. Sorry, it's your pick. Go ahead.
Green Bay.
Yeah.
I'm on the Packers, Ken on the Packers, Paul, John, and Kyle on the Packers.
Oh, no.
On the Jets.
No.
Oh, no. God damn it.
Is Glenn and Stetka.
Oh, God. Why? Why?
That's funny though. That's so funny.
Oh. All right, cancel the rest of the picks. Just go ahead and get the taco.
Okay. Should we do it tomorrow?
Son of a bitch.
Next up is Vikings at the Dolphins, 1 o'clock. That one on Fox as well. Vikings laying 3.5 on the road against Miami.
Weird bit where, like, the reports yesterday were that they're planning on starting Skylar Thompson, but Teddy Bridgewater might be available. Like, if he's available, he sure as F has to start, doesn't he? Like, what a strange story that is. Look, man, I don't feel good about the Vikings, but it is a Sunday 1 o'clock game that most of the country doesn't see. So
Kirk Cousins going to show up.
If they don't have to play a real quarterback, give me the Vikings.
Yeah, if they don't have to play a real quarterback, give me the Vikings. Exactly the same thought process. So they said they're going to start Thompson. So he does not. He did not look good.
Well,
now I know he was
7th round pick.
He probably. Well, but it doesn't matter, right? He probably had 0 reps and barely knew the game plan. That's fine, but I just don't think he has. He showed why he was a 7th round pick. He doesn't have an arm at all.
Everyone on the Vikings except for Andrew Stetka. He is taking the Dolphins.
I mean, who knows? Who knows?
Also at 1 o'clock,
the man's got to take some risks at this point. He's 5 games back of just not being the worm. Like, he's got to take some risks.
Patriots are traveling to Cleveland.
Like the Jets. Who would do that? That's stupid.
To take on the Browns at 1 o'clock. It's Patriots at Browns. Cleveland -2.5 at home.
I don't know. I mean, the Patriots looked really good a week ago. Is Zappy playing again this week? Like,
I think so.
Zappy's, yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what to make of this, right? Because the Patriots have been plenty capable of looking equally, awful. It's 2.5. I'll take the Browns.
Yeah, I'm taking the Browns too. I mean, I actually like Zappy as an NFL prospect. I think he's a smart quarterback. Doesn't have the best arm, but on the road, Cleveland, less than a field goal.
Yeah.
It's tough for me to go the other way. I'll go
but also
Cleveland.
keep in mind, Cleveland can't kick a field goal. They don't know how to make them, which is part of the problem here.
Week 1 they did.
York's gonna get 5 this week.
Okay.
He's your top fantasy kicker this week.
Right, yeah, go. Everybody scramble to go get Cade York.
Everyone is on the Browns except for John Proctor.
Okay, very interesting. I
Patriots.
think that could be a good lone wolf.
Yeah. Next up, 4 o'clock window, Buffalo Bills at the Kansas City Chiefs. That one on Fox, the game of the week. Buffalo laying 2.5 on the road.
The game of the year. This is the thing where all of the smarts would tell you, dude, you're getting points with the Chiefs at home. What are you doing? Don't overthink it. Like, I completely understand that. Except, how would that have panned out for you if you had bet it on, like, Monday, right? Like, you would have been sweating it out in the closing moments. The Bills are the best team in football. I'm taking the Bills.
I feel like, and we talked about this last year too, like, and I'm sure you don't have the numbers. I feel like Kansas City, not great covering the spread, no matter what it is.
They're not usually dogs.
But they're not. But at the same time, I mean, again, under a field goal, and I'm getting the Bills, it's not like the weather is going to be an issue, and I'll take Buffalo.
Sorry, I clicked out of it. I am on the Chiefs. I mean, the Chiefs at home. I think they're the Chiefs at home, and they're getting points.
I understand they needed a miracle in order to win on Monday night at home.
Yeah, true.
Against a bad football team.
I still think they are a very good football team, and they're at home, so I like them. Paul likes the Chiefs. Proctor likes the Chiefs. Kyle likes the Chiefs. Ken, Glenn, and Andrew Stetka on the Bills.
No! No! Damn it. Just gotta go.
All right, Sunday Night Football. Dallas Cowboys at the undefeated Philadelphia Eagles. Eagles -6 at home.
I shouldn't, but there's no reason why you should take the Eagles to cover the 6. The Cowboys have been very consistent, but I just still refuse to believe in it. The Eagles.
I don't think I picked this game, but I'm going to take the Eagles. I'm going to take the Eagles as well. I offensively and defensively, they're very solid, and the rush story is a nice story, but he does nothing for me. So I'll take the Eagles.
Also on the Eagles is Kyle and Proctor. On the Cowboys, myself, Paul, and Stetka.
Okay.
There you go.
My heart can start beating again.
Finally, Ravens at the Giants. Last night it was Ravens -6. That's what we get it at.
I've actually changed my mind on this. I picked the Stan and I did our segment yesterday, and I picked the Giants. But this is where the line doesn't make sense to me. And when the line doesn't make sense, I should acknowledge that the line doesn't make sense and go with the reverse lock. So I'm going to go with the Ravens to cover. I don't think this line makes sense. I don't think the Ravens should be giving 6 points on the road against much of anyone at this point, but definitely not against a team that you can keep trying to deny but is playing well. However, I get it. If they've got to throw, you don't really love that. They've been doing everything against the run, and you think the Ravens should be better suited for that, although Saquon Barkley's been amazing. I don't like what I'm doing here, but I've changed my mind. When Vegas, when there's a number that doesn't seem right, they know something. Give me the Ravens -6.
Yeah, I can't do it. Last week I shouldn't have done it, and I couldn't pull the trigger. So this week, of course, I'll be wrong, but I'm pulling the trigger. I on the road, getting 6 points. I can't. I'll take the Giants. I've got to take the 6.
Ken on the Giants alongside Paul Valley on the Giants. Everyone else is on the Ravens.
No.
You picked Stetka better have a good week, Glenn.
God, I'm screwed. I'm so screwed. Just go ahead and get the Taco Bell now. Damn it.
So the 3 games to watch for us are the Jets, Packers, the Bills, Chiefs, and the Cowboys, Eagles. So that will decide it.
I don't like this at all. Don't like it at all. All right, @FansFantasy on Twitter is how you follow him. Next week, for the following week, we're going to do a bit. You'll be involved in our side bet next week, all right?
Okay,
all right,
sounds good.
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate you.
Okay, take care, guys.
That's KZ. We'll come back in. I don't know if we're going to have time for Tidbit and Tubular. I'm sorry. It's just what it is. We got to get to Weekend at Bookies, which is coming up. It's next. This is Glenn Clark Radio. Have you been to Guilford Hall Brewery? Located in Baltimore's Station North neighborhood, Guilford Hall Brewery breaks the craft brew mold with their great handcrafted microbrews and amazing Bavarian-style food selections. Join Guilford Hall 7 days a week for Orioles, Ravens, and all of your favorite college games. Make plans now to watch the big games, play trivia, or bring your dog for Yappy Hour. They even have free valet service on Friday and Saturday nights. Go to guilfordhall.com for a complete schedule of events, beer listings, and food and drink specials. We'll see you at Guilford Hall Brewery.
That first sip. That first bite. Start your day off right with a delicious breakfast at Royal Farms. Choose from a fantastic selection of fresh Royal Farms breakfast sandwiches and top it off with a rich hot cup of the freshest coffee in the world. At Royal Farms, breakfast is available day and night. It's the freshest breakfast in the world. Real fresh, real fast. Royal Farms.
What's up, everyone? This is Tyus Bowser, and I'm excited to tell you that I'm back for Season 2 of The Tyus Bowser Show in partnership with PressBox and Great Ace Memorabilia. Join us on Tuesday nights throughout the season as I'll be heading all over town with my special guests. And, of course, our co-hosts, Glenn and Rita. Or is it Rita and Glenn? What is it? I look forward to meeting you guys and talking a little bit about football and a lot about life. And if you happen to miss the show, you can now catch a replay Friday nights on 105.7 The Fan. Get all of your details for The Tyus Bowser Show right now at PressBoxOnline.com/Bowser.
It's brought to you by Maryland Vascular Specialists and the all-new Ginsu Kamado Grill.
The 2022 baseball season is in full swing, and the future is brighter than ever for your Baltimore Orioles. I'm Paul Valley.
And I'm Zach Goodman.
And together we bring you the Bat Around every Saturday from 10 a.m. to noon with everything you need to know about the Orioles and baseball as a whole. From veterans like Cedric Mullins, Austin Hayes, and Ryan Mountcastle,
to young stars like Adley Rutschman, Grayson Rodriguez, and DL Hall.
We've got you covered for every game, every pitch,
and every debut.
You can watch us at youtube.com/PressBoxOnline and Facebook.com/PressBoxSports, or you can listen at PressBoxOnline.com/radio. So join us live on the Bat Around every Saturday from 10 a.m. to noon right here at PressBox Sports.
Glory Days Grill's Oktoberfest menu is now running. It's one of their most popular seasonal menus all year. It features the chicken schnitzel, the Oktoberfest brewer's platter, the brewer's sausage sandwich, the Bavarian burger with a pretzel bun, the cheddar ale soup, the slam dunk pretzels, and the apple cobbler. All of these meals pair well with Oktoberfest beers and Angry Orchard on draft. Dine in or order online at glorydaysgrill.com and pick up your favorites to take home. Glory Days Grill, great food, good sports.
Check out Jeremy Kahn's daily picks at PressBoxOnline.com as he tries to find you daily winners. And speaking of winners, here's a man who once won a media curling contest. And I don't think anything else. He's Glenn Clark.
Final days for this print issue of PressBox. Go get it right now at your neighborhood Royal Farms, if they still have them. You can also read it all at PressBoxOnline.com. Mark Andrews on the cover. Great cover story from Bo Smolka. Encourage you to pick it up. Coming early next week. New print issue of PressBox. Kevin Willard, new Maryland basketball coach, will be on the cover of that one. Griffin, is there any chance we can save Tidbit?
Yeah, it'll probably be overstand tomorrow anyway.
Okay,
Baseball
very
one.
good. We'll save Tidbit. Tidbit would have been brought to you by the all-new Ginsu Kamado Grill. Use the code TAILGATE, GinsuGrills.com. Save $100 on your pre-order. Tubular, brought to you by the Maryland 5-Star. Getting underway today. See Olympic athletes in action as the nation's best horses and riders compete in one of the world's premier equestrian events, the Mars Maryland 5-Star at Fair Hill, presented by Brown Advisory, October 13th through 16th in Cecil County. Here's what you need to know as far as Tubular is concerned. Actually, it's a very busy day and night. Morgan State in action tonight, 7:30 on ESPN2. They take on North Carolina Central, and that's got to be at least as good as Commanders-Bears on Amazon Prime. That's at 8:15 if you hate yourself. TBS for the two American League playoff games today. Mariners-Astros, Game 2 at 3:30. Luis Castillo, Framber Valdez. Guardians-Yankees, Game 2 at 7:30. Shane Bieber and Nestor Cortez. Capitals-Maple Leafs, 7:30 on NBC Sports Washington. Everything else, find at GlennClarkRadio.com. Anything that stands out, non-sports?
Not really. She-Hulk finale on Disney+.
Okay. I do need to get into that, too. Crap. It's that and Wrexham. I got to... All right, I'll get on it. I promise. All right, find it at GlennClarkRadio.com. Thanks today to Charles Davis. Thanks to KZ. Thanks to Tank Williams. Thanks also to Cody Benjamin from CBSSports.com. We'll get it all up in the greatest hits section of the tab at GlennClarkRadio.com. Busy day tomorrow. Stan the Fan is in studio. We will catch up with Anita Marks, our old friend from Baltimore. She's with ESPN New York now. We will preview the Giants. Bo Smolka, PressBox Ravens beat writer, will join us. Bill Roden from Anscape, longtime sports writer, wrote a very lengthy piece this week about Lamar Jackson. We'll catch up with him and Stuff and Things. Thanks to everybody at PressBox, all of our great sponsors and partners, including the Baltimore County Police Department, Glory Days Grill, Royal Farms, Costas Inn, Maryland 5-Star, Guilford Hall Brewery, Great 8's Memorabilia, the FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel, Maryland Vascular Specialist, the all-new Ginsu Kamado Grill, the Baltimore Orioles, your local Toyota dealer, buyatoyota.com. Thanks to Griffin at Griffin_Bass. Follow us at Glenn Clark Radio, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Have a great Thursday evening. Go Morgan State. Duke sucks. Ohio State sucks too. If you are with us in audio, do nothing. If you're with us in video, give us a minute. Go back to where you started. Click refresh. Weekend at Bookies coming up next.